Hello and welcome to the show. My name's Irrelevant. This is Do All the Things. And on today's episode, a Bugera TriRec that doesn't want to come out of standby. Now, the funny story is, this is a brand new head being sold by a local ma and pa business. And they've had it in stock for about 5 years now. It's got a 2015 date on it, and it just never sold. And finally someone came in to buy it, and Blinky Blinky, what's that mean? I don't know. I can't even find the manual on their website. It doesn't look like they make it anymore. This is what shows up for their guitar head range. And yes, I went to downloads and it wasn't in there either. I guess I have to get it from a third party. Oh, this is gonna be fun. All right, progress. It wants you to wait a minute before you turn the standby on. Receiving tubes don't need that. Okay. I can't find a troubleshooting section in this manual. It doesn't tell me why this is blinking. We do note that we indeed see these lights that tell you to replace the tubes when they're lit. Now, the fact of the matter is, again, this amp has never really been used. It's got a little bit of dust in it. It just goes to show how long it's been sitting for. And, well, that might lend some clues as to what could be going wrong. And yes, before you ask, we put a fresh set of tubes in here and it still didn't work. We'll try again. These actually are the replacement tubes. Rubies. There's a possibility that the replacement tubes could just be out of range. They tell you can put any combination of tubes you want in there. What happens if we just put two 6L6s? No lights so far. No lights so far. Still no lights so far. Still no sound either. Ah, there goes the blink. Yeah, all four lights are on again. All four lights are on again, regardless of the fact we only have two tubes in there. The computer circuitry is detecting fault. So what do we have for the original tubes? Bugera Premium Selected 6L6 GC. That pattern in there, I'm guessing it's some form of Chinese. You know, I didn't find the Chinese 6L6 that sounded too bad. It says wait a minute before you turn that on. Every time you turn it on, it starts in the clean channel. That can be a little bit annoying to some people, not remembering where it left off. Varipower. Oh boy, does it even tell us what that is in the manual? Adjust the maximum output power capacity. And apparently the standby is just a mute. Lights are not on. And how long till it starts blinking? There it goes. All right, let's take a look inside this thing and see what we got. Chassis also has screws on the side here. Oh, Tay. Honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it would be in here. I was expecting something more like the Black Star that I've recently worked on. Don't work on a Black Star. That thing looked like a damn computer motherboard. It's not something I made a video about. So now I just kind of look this over, see if I can find anything obvious. Yeah, this is going to be difficult without a schematic, and so far that's been proving difficult to find. Using that term a couple times more. Got something resembling, I guess that's a DSP there. Reverb maybe. And we have a computer heatsink right over this section. What's going on in here? I can't really see what's bolted to it. I see three big pins there. I wonder if this is a voltage regulator. Maybe that's how Varipower works. This might have a voltage regulated power supply. There's all sorts of voltage regulation going on in here. Funny thing is, this is supposed to be independently auto biased on each tube, and I can't really see what would be doing that. Usually you'd see some kind of MOSFET or something, or transistor close to the tubes itself. There's relays everywhere. I'm wondering if I see the other side of that board, I'm gonna find a bunch of SMDs or something. It looks all through hole though. Hey, I think this is the DSP over here. I see a timing, so maybe this is the computer. STM8S10, 8-bit microcontroller. So yeah, that's a little computer right in here. 8-bit microcontroller regulator probably is related to the detection circuitry. This wiring harness that connects to the light goes right to the board. There was one worst case scenario where it suggested that we disable this auto bias circuit and put a more conventional bias circuit in. But I don't know if that would be that wouldn't be cheap to do. It would take hours to track down how this board works and traces without a schematic. And then you'd have to make sure that you rip this guy out, everything else is connected, bypassed, and then you'd have to build in a conventional bias circuit. Oh boy, those preamp tubes sit low in there, bud. AX7A, B, 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 and a C. Huh, very specific. So I read something online that suggests it's a problem with the heater supply. And sure enough, the tubes aren't lighting up. None of them. Why would the heater supply go down? So let's see what we got here. Preamp tubes, pin. Oh, I can't reach. Okay, power tubes. 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of power on those tubes. It's usually 2 and 7. Switch to AC. Yeah, there's no heater voltage. Okay, where's the power supply transformers? Just pop her over here. Where's all the wires coming out of it? Green is typically a heater supply. There's a fuse. Let's see if I can probe these green connectors. Green and green. Yeah, 6.81 AC. So we have heater supply. It's actually going directly to here. It seems to be making... Oh, why does this fuse look funny? Can you see that? There's like a ball of solder on that fuse. Now mind you, it suggests that power is getting through the fuse. Why is there a glob of solder on that fuse? There's loose globs of solder in here. Okay, I thought I checked the fuses. We'll check them again. Even though, what's the number one rule of tech repair? It's never the fuse. Yeah, that fuse is good. Okay, we show heater. We have heater on tubes now. The amp is making more hummy, buzzy noises. We still don't got blinky light. Really? Really? Varipower responds funny. Well, there you have it. You know, that was what my gut was telling me. You got a brand new amp. It's never been gigged. I don't believe the quality can be so bad that a brand new amp would just be broken. But for some reason, there is shmoo on this fuse. And it was making a bad connection. A T10 amp fuse on the heater circuit. And I've done this early enough. Not gonna be able to charge much for this. I ain't gonna have time to start up another project. Well, let's give it a little cleaning. How about those sockets? I'm wondering if maybe at some point the amp was maybe test fired for, you know, a little bit longer than normal, and whatever that glue was, or goo, it just got soft and then it got in there. So let's maybe tighten up on these holders here and pop that pupper back in there. Oh, I'm still not happy with how clean that fuse isn't. Oh, we can just file that shmoo off. All right, I guess let's put this pupper back together. Oh, and one interesting thing to point out, the amp worked without the rectifier tubes in it because I had it in solid state rectifier mode. And that is one common misconception. If you own one of these amps and or you own, say, the real triple rectifier, if you only ever use solid state rectification mode and you don't use tube rectifier mode, these 5U4s, you're not using them. They don't need to be replaced. In some cases, you don't even need them installed in the amp. You can save a bit of heat and hydro, but seriously, there are people out there, they buy replacement sets of tubes for the Rectos, they replace the 5U4s, they've never used the thing. If you don't set it to tube mode, you don't need to replace them. Okay, well, before we call her quits, bud, let's see, let's play with this infinity tech, this infinite tech a little bit. Here's a couple of my JJ687s, one of my favorite tubes for a really high gain, fuzzy amp. Let's see if she likes running with just 2 tubes. She's not giving me sound, not yet. We're getting heater at least, not getting any lights. Very forceful with the warm-up time, this amp, I think. Unless it's just gonna straight up reject the situation because I don't, oh, no, there it is. Yeah, 2 tubes. I feel like Varipower made it turn down a bit, but then we haven't got the master up very high. Vintage mode. Oh, I put a blanket over it. Now, in the Mesa Dual Rectifier, orange channel is supposed to be a Soldano SLO. Vintage mode. Vintage mode gets a lot more quieter, probably because it's throttling down the gain in the preamp section. What's first channel drive like? I don't believe that's a defect. Some preamps will kind of do that. I got the Varipower cranked right down. Now that said, if I'm going for a classic sound, let's crank that volume, crank that gain. Varipower works. It's I'm cranking that master and it just sounds like. And it's funny because I think that is what, you know, an old super lead or something might sound like if you crank the snot out of it, but, you know, it didn't have some of the filtration that comes with actually running the rest of the circuit that hard, like, or the cabinets or whatnot, or picking up buzz. I wonder one last thing, how well this guy's gonna take overdrive. I got my Mustard Box DOD 250 clone, currently loaded with the OPA 604 op amp. So let's push some drive in there, because vintage red mode, whoa, has got a nice tone to it. But then the gain is just a touch lacking. Okay. Now let's assume that this green channel might give us something resembling a JCM 800. What happens if I dial in my JCM 800 settings on this overdrive? Oh, that kind of sounds really freaking cool, bud. Just overdriving the snot out of that green drive channel. It's really noisy though. I try. Oh boy, don't flick that button. Flick it down to clean, it got super much louder. I'm overdriving clean right now. That's pretty cool. That's interesting. A very much variety of tones that you can obviously get out of an amp of this nature. And I believe that was the intention when, Mesa designed this amplifier. So right now I'm overdriving Orange Channel in classic mode. That's tight and punchy. That sounds cool too. What happens if I use the tube recto? Where is it? Center. Whoa, we got pop it a bada. Hey, it shows bad valves for these two sockets. There is a tonal change, but not quite a tonal change. I don't know how to explain it. I have like zero experience with tube rectified guitar amps, at least ones that make power like this. That's not a tube rectified riff. that doesn't sound anything good. I mean me, not the amp. Let's just go back to, let's try modern mode again. Now I get where that comes from. Back in the Screamo scene days when I used to be a sound guy, I heard of them kiddies with their rectos like putting overdrives in front of them. And I'm like, why would you want overdrive in such a high gain amp? And yeah, if you dial back the gain on the amp and then overdrive it, it definitely has a tighter, more sound. Just like, pah, friggin' punch you in your arsehole. Try that on the modern channel. Actually, yeah, let's just straight up drive the modern channel. No low end. That's too much on modern. Switch it to vintage. Makes a little bit more sense. How about classic? That's tight. Still very dirty. Is it possible that channel 3, 2, and 3 are voiced identical? So let's put the settings to the same thing on both channels. Let's try this. Cause yeah, like maybe you just have two of the same channels and it's just the voicing you're choosing. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what's going on. Channel 2 and 3 are exactly identical. You can just choose one to be vintage, one to be classic. That kind of thing. Okay, so TriRec, brand new, blinking standby light. It had a Shmooly fuse. Seems to be working awesome now. And Infinium seems to do the thing. I just popped those tubes in, it didn't care. Granted, I'm not getting very experimental. I should be able to pop a pair of 6L6. Oh geez, this video's gonna get longer, isn't it? Okay. 6L6 WXT, go it in. And they tell you can stick like any combination you want in there. Huh? Yeah? Really? So how freaking ridiculous could we get then, bud? that works and it actually sounds pretty good. That might be a decent combination. I wonder if I can mod on one of my amps to do oddball combos. The answer is yes, I just haven't. I haven't cared that much. So just how ridiculous can we get here? Let's go find out. I'm gonna go ahead and put in one of each of my tubes that I have in rotation. So right now we have a JJ6CA7. I'm gonna match that up with an Electro Harmonic 6CA7. And then we have a Sovtac WXT Plus 6L6. I gotta put in a 7581A. Oh boy. You know, if this is such a good idea, why isn't everybody doing it? Is it a cost thing? Do the other manufacturers just want you to like use whatever tubes they tell you and not have to integrate that kind of thing? Granted, Bugera is, I guess, a cheaper Chinese brand. They can afford to crank them out for a low cost. And that is some sort of proprietary technology. Probably they have a patent on it and other people can't use it yet, but at the same time, I'm sure automatic bias is not such a voodoo gem that other people in the engineering camp can't figure out how to come up with something similar without violating their patents. And we have no red lights, and we have sound. That's very interesting. That's a pretty complex tone. There's a lot going on in there now. Huh, perfectly ridiculous. 4 completely different tubes. To be fair, the circuit's probably not working too hard because I generally order them in similar ranges. Like the two 6L6 type tubes, the 7581A and the WXT, their match number's not gonna be too far off where you can kind of get away with using them together even in a normal amp. However, EL style tubes and 6L6 tubes, they don't match at all. Not based on their tube store number at least. Now the 6CA7s I have, them too, are kind of close together, like a 30 and a 33. But wow, that's damn interesting amp. I'm enjoying playing with this thing, and I think I would even enjoy owning one, just because of the tweaking I can do on it. I can't speak for their quality. We do have a bit of a defect here, but it was just something derpy. I haven't really heard off the top of my head anyone complaining about these amps being unreliable, so don't let this video sway you if you're interested in purchasing one of these things. But that's kind of fun, screwing with the tubes like that. I almost want to get a Bugera amp now, just so I can screw with that. But I think I'd be more into the 1990 or the 1960, which Buddy Pop Store has in stock. I wonder if he'll let me borrow it. But anyway, if you enjoyed this, stay tuned for more. Sometimes I like to play with amplifiers. I'm guaranteed to play with amplifiers again. So, yeah. What is this now? You know, I surprise myself sometimes with how I end these videos.